Some airplanes are expensive because they're rare. Others are expensive because they offer serious performance, luxury, and technology. But sometimes, even aircraft that once cost millions can suffer enormous drops in value and still struggle to find buyers. Because when a $2 million airplane becomes a $1 million airplane, you would expect buyers to appear. But in aviation, the purchase price is only part of the equation. Today we're looking at 6 expensive aircraft that have suffered major depreciation, yet still aren't attracting as many buyers as you might expect. Number 6. Cessna Citation Mustang. The Cessna Citation Mustang was designed to bring private jet ownership to a much broader market. When new, these very light jets could cost several $million. Today, used examples can sometimes be found around $1.5 to $2.5 million, depending on year, condition, avionics, and maintenance status. Powered by 2 Pratt & Whitney PW615F engines, the Mustang cruises around 340 knots and can carry a small group of passengers in a surprisingly comfortable cabin. For someone stepping into jet ownership, that sounds incredibly attractive. Modern avionics and a respected manufacturer make the Mustang an appealing package. And operating costs are generally lower than those of much larger business jets. So why doesn't every Mustang sell immediately? Because buyers at this level have options. Someone spending a couple of $1 million can look at newer very light jets with more modern interiors, greater range, or additional cabin space. The Mustang also has a relatively small cabin. That's perfectly acceptable for short business trips, but buyers who are spending millions on a private aircraft may want more room. Then there's the question of utilization. If you're only flying a few hours a month, owning a jet can be difficult to justify financially. Charter or fractional ownership can sometimes make more sense. The Mustang remains a capable and attractive jet. But its biggest challenge isn't performance. It's convincing wealthy buyers that they need to own one. And when the number of potential buyers is already small, even a significant price reduction may not create much urgency. Number 5. Embraer Phenom 100. The Embraer Phenom 100 entered the market with a very different philosophy. It was modern, compact, efficient, and designed specifically for the emerging very light jet market. Today, depending on the year, configuration, and maintenance status, used examples can sometimes be found around $1.5 to $2.5 million. Powered by 2 Pratt & Whitney PW617F engines, the Phenom 100 cruises around 390 knots, making it significantly faster than many traditional piston and turboprop aircraft. The cabin is also surprisingly sophisticated for an aircraft of its size. Modern avionics and a comfortable interior make it an appealing step into business aviation. So why can one still face a difficult resale market? Competition. The very light jet category has become crowded, and buyers have several modern aircraft to consider. A potential customer can compare the Phenom 100 with newer models, different manufacturers, or even larger used jets that have fallen dramatically in price. That's the strange thing about aircraft depreciation. A newer airplane doesn't necessarily need to become cheaper for an older airplane to lose value. It simply needs to make the older airplane look less attractive. And that's what happens when technology advances quickly. The Phenom 100 remains an excellent aircraft for short business trips and private travel. But when you're spending millions, buyers can become extremely selective. A large discount may get their attention. It doesn't necessarily get their signature. Number 4. HondaJet HA420. The HondaJet might be one of the most visually distinctive business jets in its class. Its over-the-wing engine configuration immediately separates it from most conventional light jets. And despite being a relatively compact aircraft, it delivers impressive performance. Depending on age, configuration, and condition, used examples can sometimes be found around $2.5 to $4 million. Powered by 2 GE Honda Aero HF120 engines, the HondaJet can cruise around 420 knots and offers a surprisingly advanced cabin for a very light jet. It also has a reputation for efficiency and innovative engineering. So why isn't a heavily discounted HondaJet automatically an easy sale? Because the buyer pool is extremely specialized. Someone looking for a private jet at this price level has plenty of choices. They can buy a larger used jet with a more spacious cabin. They can choose a newer light jet. Or they can spend substantially more and move into an aircraft with greater range and capability. The HondaJet also occupies a very specific mission profile. Its compact cabin is excellent for a small group, but it isn't designed to compete with mid-size business jets when it comes to space. The aircraft can be technologically impressive and still have difficulty attracting buyers who want something larger. That's why depreciation doesn't always follow capability. The HondaJet can be an outstanding machine. but an outstanding machine still needs the right buyer. Number 3. Cessna Citation CJ2. The Citation CJ2 is one of those jets that can look almost too affordable once you compare its original capabilities with its current used market value. Depending on age, maintenance status, and equipment, examples can sometimes be found around $1.5 to $3 million. Powered by two Williams International FJ44-2C engines, the CJ2 cruises around 410 knots and can carry several passengers comfortably over substantial distances. For a business aircraft, that's a very useful combination. It's fast, it's proven, and the Citation name carries enormous recognition in business aviation. So why isn't every discounted CJ2 immediately snapped up? Because buyers aren't only purchasing the airplane, they're purchasing everything that comes with it. Hangar space, maintenance, insurance, and crew requirements in some operations can all add up quickly, and thousands of dollars in operating costs can accumulate every time the aircraft flies. A lower acquisition price doesn't change those realities nearly as much as people expect. There's also competition from newer Citation models and other modern light jets. A buyer who has several $1 million available may prefer to spend more on something newer rather than take on an older aircraft with potentially higher maintenance requirements. That doesn't make the CJ2 a bad airplane. Its longevity is part of its appeal. But the market has changed. And when newer aircraft become available, older jets often need increasingly aggressive discounts just to remain competitive. The airplane gets cheaper. The ownership equation doesn't change nearly as much. Number 2. Learjet 40. The Learjet 40 is where the depreciation story becomes much more dramatic. This was never a cheap airplane. It was designed as a serious business jet, offering high speed, a comfortable cabin, and the performance associated with the Learjet name. Yet older examples can sometimes be found around $1 to $2 million. That's an extraordinary amount of aircraft for the price. Powered by two Honeywell TFE 731-20AR engines, the Learjet 40 can cruise around 460 knots, making it dramatically faster than most light jets. The cabin is also considerably more substantial than what you get in a very light jet. On paper it looks like an absolute bargain. But there's a reason the price has fallen so dramatically. The operating costs. A Learjet may cost a fraction of its original purchase price today, but it hasn't suddenly become a cheap airplane to operate. Fuel, maintenance, engine reserves, and inspections remain significant. And buyers understand that. Someone may be able to afford the purchase price but still decide they don't want the ongoing financial commitment. That's one of the biggest reasons older business jets can experience brutal depreciation. The aircraft itself remains incredibly capable, but the economics of ownership can make the market surprisingly small. The Learjet 40 can deliver speed and performance that newer aircraft costing several times more would struggle to match. The problem is finding someone willing to pay for all the costs that come after the purchase. Number 1. Hawker 800 XP. And finally we have the Hawker 800 XP. This is where the phrase huge discount really starts to make sense. A Hawker 800 XP once represented serious money in business aviation. Today, older examples can sometimes be found around $700 to $1.5 million, depending heavily on condition, avionics, maintenance history, and engine status. Powered by two Honeywell TFE 731-5BR engines, the 800 XP cruises around 440 knots and offers a spacious mid-size cabin that can comfortably accommodate business travelers. For less than the price of many modern light jets, you can potentially get a genuine mid-size business aircraft. That's an incredible proposition. So why aren't buyers fighting over them? Because the Hawker's biggest advantage is also its biggest problem. It's an older, larger aircraft. That means more systems, more fuel, and more maintenance, and potentially much higher ownership costs than the purchase price initially suggests. The cabin may be impressive, but keeping that cabin in service isn't cheap. And as the aircraft ages, buyers become increasingly concerned about maintenance history and the condition of major components. That's why a Hawker 800 XP can be dramatically cheaper than it once was without becoming dramatically cheaper to operate. For a company or owner who genuinely needs a mid-size jet, it can still make a lot of sense. But for someone simply looking for a cheap way into private aviation, the purchase price can be dangerously misleading. You aren't buying a $1 million airplane. You're buying a machine that happens to cost $1 million. And those are two very different things. These 6 aircraft prove that huge depreciation doesn't automatically create a huge bargain. A jet can lose millions in value and still remain expensive to operate. That's why buyers at this level look far beyond the asking price. The aircraft may be cheaper. The ownership certainly isn't. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe, and tell me which of these 6 aircraft you'd actually consider buying after such a massive price drop. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.